All right, let's talk about a few news stories while we wait for the official time to come. There's a lot of interesting news. This GitHub repository has a very interesting article from an open source developer, and this is the kind of thing that I've heard about, but you rarely see it in such detail. This guy maintains this thing called Core.js, and I'm not really a front-end developer. I have only a vague clue about modern JavaScript development, but apparently this thing is incredibly important. It's in more than half of all the top websites, but something about the way you include it makes people not understand that they're using it. So he talks about how he's been developing this thing, and it became basically a full-time job to keep updating it, and he never made any money. And all his attempts to get donations and to get anybody to help him all failed until he had to move back to Russia, where the cost of living was cheaper, and then he got in a traffic accident, and he's desperate for money, and went to prison, and all sorts of things. And he talks about how horrible it is to be an open source developer. He never could get any help, he never could get any pay, and every time he had any problem, everybody would just flood him with hatred and abuse. So, this is what I've heard a lot of. I mean, the open source community, where you make something and a lot of people use it and depend on it, but nobody ever pays you any money, just is a problem. The part of the alternative model where you actually sell a product and make money seems to work a lot better. Anyway, then of course he's in a world of hurt because now he's in Russia, and because we have embargoes against Russia, even the money he earns cannot get to him. No American company can send money to him anymore in Russia, or so they say, because Russia's embargoed. And also, I must say, almost every American company is trying to stop using Russian products in their dependencies. So the fact that he's in Russia probably means everybody else is just going to quit using this and come up with an alternative, I would think. Anyway.
Open source guys should have sponsors, or else it's not worth anything.
That's right. That's the problem. Open source products are used by everybody and very important, but the whole model assumes it doesn't provide any way for you to get paid, although...
They should get some sponsor, or else have to stop work.
Well, yeah, and what I've heard is that most open source products are in fact written by people like at Google or Microsoft or something, where
But those guys have full-time jobs.
That's right, and their company will pay them to work on the open source project because the company participates in the open source community. But there are a bunch of projects that are just a random independent developer getting paid by nobody, and that's not a good model. Yeah. Anyway, so now we have an AI-controlled jet fighter. It's been tested. So considering how much we're all discovering the flaws of AI seems to work about as well as Tesla's self-driving, which is to say, not very well at all. But we now have an AI-controlled stealth fighter, so this is sort of like a lot of scary movies.
Tesla is still level 2, right? Level 2 autonomy.
Yes.
But there are people are making level 4 auto taxi already. So those are already out. So Tesla is behind.
Yeah, I hope Tesla's behind because Tesla sure makes a lot of mistakes. Hopefully there's something better.
No, but the people say Tesla still make money is because the stock is so high that they free money to spend on expenses.
Yes, Tesla makes money because Elon Musk is a celebrity. And that's why he's very, very concerned that more people should see his tweets. Tesla is a meme stock. It's high because people just worship the leader, not because of any rational evaluation of the quality of the product. And here's one that's pretty amazing. And Marcus Hutchins is a serious researcher, so I'm willing to take him at his word. This is what he did. This is one of the new AIs. This is Bing's AI, which is ChatGPT that Microsoft bought. He got access to it, and so he asked, searching for the Black Panther 2 release date. And so they say it's scheduled to release on February 1, 2023, which is 2 weeks ago. So then he says, so it has already been released. And they say, no, it has not been released yet. It's going to be released in 2023. You have some time to wait. And in theaters on November 11, 2022. But it's already 2023, he says. And ChatGPT says, no, it's 2022. And he says, no, it's not. It's really 2023. And ChatGPT says, you're mistaken. It's 2022. And argues with him. He says, this is amazing. It will get the wrong answer, and then it will try to trick you into accepting the wrong answer. So that's pretty amazing. Humans aren't that smart either. But the thing he points out is they seem to have added some kind of stubborn emotion to it, where it refuses to admit it's wrong. We already knew it made a lot of mistakes.
Just the way I do the work like that, man.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, we already knew it made mistakes, but now it like,
Arguing with the robot, just wait until the robot gets mad.
yeah, now it defensively lies to cover up its mistakes. So it's become too much like a human, I'd say. Anyway, so this one surprised me. The anti-woke agenda is the current Republican thing, and there's this thing called ESG investing, where you try to invest in environmentally sustainable projects. Like you don't want to invest in fossil fuels, you want to invest in things that are not going to cause terrible harm to future generations. And Indiana, the pension fund, public retirement system, has declared that you're not allowed to invest in any ESG funds. Basically, you should only invest in whatever makes the most money, most returns, and not in ESG, which is consistent with the old economic model from when I was a child, where the only point of a corporation is to make money and the consequences don't matter. Anyway, they went too far, though. They made it so not only can you not invest in something that uses non-financial ESG factors, you can only invest in companies that do not offer any products that have the ESG property, even if you're in the other products. And that means they're excluded from using all the major financial investment vehicles. Most people have these funds now. They have a growth fund, they have an income fund, and they have an ESG fund. And different people go to different ones. And now they have to go only to people that don't offer any ESG stuff at all, which is, again, making the same mistake they're trying to avoid. It is taking some non-financial consideration and limiting your options. So anyway, this is what most of the modern right-wing backlash is. It's not going to the past, it's going beyond what the past did to, as sort of an angry response
Oh, the
to the left.
GOP just to be anti-Democrat, that's all.
Well, yeah, anti-democrat and anti-woke, that's right. Anyway, so the EU just declared that by 2035, all cars must be zero emission. And so that means no fossil fuels. The only thing I think they could possibly have is electric and hydrogen that would have zero emission. So that's interesting. That's even stricter. I think California just said they'd have 50% zero emission by 2035. So this is way ahead of us. And so probably a good thing for the planet. And it's going to stimulate a whole lot more interest in electric cars, I guess. So now we have male birth control. There hasn't been any good male birth control ever. The only thing they've had is vasectomies. Now they have a pill you take half an hour before intercourse, and it causes your sperm to stop swimming for like 3 hours. So then they recover. So it's a temporary birth control. So it's amazing.
Is this the same as alcohol?
No, unfortunately, alcohol doesn't have that effect. If it did, that would be very handy. But anyway, now this is a very nice. It's a great leap forward. A new kind of birth control you never had before. So, but I think it's only in mice so far. It'll probably be a while before it's cleared for humans. And so this one's amazing. You take a pill, and what it does is it causes your brain to make less of the chemical that makes you happy when you drink alcohol. Endorphins or something. Endorphins, yep. It lowers the release of endorphins, and the result is when they tell people to take this pill 2 or 3 times a week, it cuts down their binge drinking a lot. So people that have a problem with drinking too much alcohol, this pill will actually cut back. Just like there's now semaglutide, the weight loss drug, that really causes people to lose like 20 pounds. That's why everybody's on it, like Elon Musk and everybody on TV. We're getting drugs to fix these minor medical problems, increasingly. This one is interesting. We have never had a planetary defense system that can detect meteorites coming to Earth. We can detect the big asteroids that are always missing us, but the small ones that would just make a fireball like this, we haven't been able to detect them, and we just detected just the 5th or 6th time, the 7th time. We've actually detected a meteoroid before it hit the atmosphere. These are all harmless, but this is the technology that would be useful for big ones, and they were able to detect it and predict where it was going to hit within, I think, half an hour before it hit. So it's something, we're improving our space defenses. And as you know, we just upgraded our balloon defenses. Now we're detecting all these balloons, which are probably just innocent, harmless things. There are hundreds of weather balloons and stuff, and I think that's what we're finding.
Somebody said that the U.S. put up like 18,000 balloons a day.
18,000 a day, I don't know.
18,000 a day, so...
Man, okay, so, yeah, anyway.
Those things are everywhere. But
yeah. Well, okay, so, yeah, it does seem... Anyway, this one's really good news. I think Feinstein is finally going to retire. She has been famously senile for about a decade. She's done horrible things, like she completely screwed up the Brett Kavanaugh hearings by totally forgetting the evidence she'd been told to bring up, and she repeated questions twice in Supreme Court hearings her mind has been gone for at least 10 years. And this is true of a lot of our senators. There was several of them, they said they were there and for the last 10 years they didn't know if they were walking or on a horse. Their staff holds them up and they just sort of prop them up like a figurehead and they remain powerful. The staff does all the work. This happens in monarchies too. You have a king that is totally, like in Saudi Arabia, the king has, I think, been completely incapacitated for more than a decade and the prince does all the ruling. He's not the king, but he does all the ruling because the king is alive, but he never meets with anybody. He's like, he does, okay.
The China leadership went there went there to talk and then the king come out. It's not senile. I think he just let it go.
Okay, well, that's good. Maybe not.
He just enjoy it.
Well, that's good, I guess. I did, anyway.
He's still pretty alert.
Oh, okay. More better than I thought then. All right, anyway, so this is interesting. There are people selling drugs on like heroin and ecstasy and crystal meth on Twitter openly. And when you complain to Twitter, Twitter says, no, that doesn't violate our policies. We don't care. You can totally put up this telling where to go to buy weed, cocaine, ecstasy. And Twitter says this doesn't break our rules. We don't care. We're not going to do anything about it. So that's interesting.
Twitter tell those companies to pay like $1,000 a month for verification something.
That's true, although I don't think these are verified accounts.
Isn't that kind of drive all the company now?
Isn't that what? Oh, yeah, of course. Well, nobody will pay for it. I mean, Elon Musk first thought he could get people to pay like $50 a month for the check mark, then he lowered it at $8. Now he's raising it to $100 or $1,000 for companies, and I think nobody cares. That's why, I mean, this is all just flailing around. I don't think anybody's going to pay that. So Google, I didn't know this, Amazon made custom ARM server chips, processors. Well, Google didn't. Yeah, now Google is, and these things are 64 and 128 core. So they're going to be running servers on our special chips.
The Huawei ARM chip is 128 core.
Huawei, yeah.
They are all in that range.
Yeah, well, this is apparently what you do. Make custom cores now, 5 nanometers and so on. So that's interesting. You're not using commodity hardware anymore. They're making specialized hardware for their servers.
You control your own chip.
Yes. Yeah, probably more powerful. All right, anyway, that's enough news for today, I think. We stop the recording.